jump right into it. I know, Mash, you got some words to say. Welcome to Indie Worldwide. This is our Jobs to Be Done framework. What's up, Patrick? Jobs to Be Done framework talk by Giacomo here is going to take over in a second. See challenge updates. Email should be going out on Monday or Tuesday to update your figures. Check out for that. The Indie Worldwide August meetup is next week. Check the event calendar for that. And then the week after that, we're going to start ramping up for halfway through demo day. So just submitting your numbers. I'll reach out. We'll line up some show and tells. Featured guest for that is Andrew Gazdecki from MicroAcquire, so you're not going to want to miss it. With that, I'll hand things off to Mash. Mash, you'll hand things off to Giacomo, and then we'll roll with it.
Awesome. This is amazing. I'm very excited because, first of all, founders get together in a room. There's always bright ideas to talk about, things to like point which we can improve upon. And, you know, Anthony, you're doing a great job of getting us together in the same. So like, I'm very hyped to see how the 100 challenge goes. Yeah, dude. Coolio. So I want to kind of give a pre-intro and what he does and who he is. So he's a product coach and he works with early stage founders, bootstrap founders, seed founders to really help them understand product discovery and how exactly the product should evolve depending on the kinds of jobs and the kinds of customers you're trying to serve, right? Why spend time building something when you can actually serve a few customers really well and then slowly understand their requirements over time and then branch out from there. So Giacomo's own company, which is called SparringStartups.com. I'll put a link in the chat below. And it's all about basically understanding, you know, how you and Giacomo in the same thing each other before the market punches you, because it's really critical to understand your product and your customers prior to going out and building 100 features. And when I first came across Giacomo, I was very impressed with him, still am today. And so I invited him to be a Sparrow Advisor I'm the founder of. And what I do at Sparrow is I help founders scale their company by connecting them with people like Giacomo. So lots of plugs, but I'm very hyped for what's about. I'll let Giacomo take the mic now and talk to us about what he's teaching us today. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, everybody. I don't know if I will be teaching you something. I hope you hear me well because there's a small echo in this room. You hear me well? Good.
Mike, can everybody hear Giacomo, or is it just me?
Yeah, we can. Sounds good to me.
Cool. So it's you, Mesh. Okay. So we are talking today about jobs to be done, which is first of all an innovation theory, but it's also a super useful tool. Not just for product discovery, because product discovery usually needs to be a lot faster than this, but for getting deeper in trying to understand really what drives our customers. And this is super powerful. I hope, especially today, I will be able to transmit to you how many cool things come from really understanding the motivations that drive our users. It's jobs to be done used for a lot of things. Amongst them, it is used for user research and also for service and business design. So today we're going to cover an intro about it, and I will be glad to share with you a few hints about how to run jobs to be done interviews, which is the way to get all the insights that can unlock the good things that I'm going to talk about. As a small notice, this is part. I mean, this workshop that I'm going to give you today is usually a full day workshop. So I had to cut a lot of things. I tried to make something that makes more sense than possible. Feel free to ask me whatever. I will join your Slack channel, so I will be happy if you want to have some additional information or resource. I will be more than happy to share whatever with you. So let's jump into it. I will share with you my screen. Hope you're able to see it. Can you?
Yes.
You do. Cool. So, okay. Everything that had to be told about me has already been told by MASH. So we'll jump and go to the blah, 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 who cares? Let's talk jobs to be done. And this was the really the fastest intro ever, because this is super boring to me when people introduce themselves and take much time. So I will save the pain for you. So what are we trying to do today? I really would like to convey to you how seeing the world through our customer's perspective really is seeing the world with new lenses. And there's a warning, you cannot unsee this. So once you start obsessing over what your customer thinks and how your customer takes decision, you cannot go back to just pushing ads on Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever, okay? So it's a red pill, blue pill. I hope you take the right one and you take this advice seriously. You cannot unsee this. So let's start immediately with one of the things that is a little different when thought through jobs to be done, which is targeting, which is who are we selling to? We will not just start with who are we selling to, which is usually what we do with when targeting, but we will try to ask ourselves, is it really the right question to be asked? Should we really ask this question? Who are we selling to? Who are we targeting, etc.? An important thing, feel free to unmute whenever or write on chat, whatever. If I don't see some messages or something like this, Mash, please unmute and tell me that there is some request or whatever. So I want it to be super open and feel free to ask whenever, interrupt. It's not, otherwise it will be super boring. As mentioned, it's usually a workshop, so I usually have a couple of slides of concept and a couple of slides of exercises. We will not have time for this, but still I want you to get the most you can. Okay, enough with intros. So let's get this primer on jobs to be done. What do we usually do? We usually start with the question that I showed you before. So who are we selling to? So let's say we are selling, I don't know, old-fashioned middle-aged carpets. And based on our data, this one that I'm showing to you are the attributes that correlate most with our customers. So they are male, they are born in 1948, they are raised in the UK because that is our target market. They were married twice, they live in a castle, this is why they're in love with middle-aged carpets. They're wealthy and famous because middle-aged carpets cost a lot. This is super cool and this is something we do a lot. But the bad thing is that oftentimes something like this happens. That based on personas alone, we tend to target very different people who, despite having very similar characteristics, also happen to have very different needs and tastes. And Ozzy looks cooler. No, Prince Charles is cooler, a lot cooler. Don't tell this to any UK people, please. So this is something that happens a lot. And it may be happening to you too. And it happened to me a lot of times too, making you a couple examples. Have you ever advertised on Facebook ads or whatever ads you can imagine by selecting some attributes, criteria, etc.? And despite having a strong correlation and customers who really are in this age, gender, etc., having a very low conversion rate, I did. Show of hands, anybody else did? I bet you did too. Okay, so have you ever been messaging people in LinkedIn who are in target with your persona definition or your ideal customer profile, but very few reply? Show of hands, I did a lot of times. I'm sorry. I will not do this again. Sorry to everybody that received my spam messages. Will not do this again. So why do few people convert? Why do few people reply? Because when we start from this question, who are our customer, and we start selecting a few attributes, the fact is that we are getting a group of people And in this group of people, the majority of them simply doesn't need what we are trying to sell. They simply doesn't need that. Despite them being super in target, super correlating with our target, with the reply to the question, who are our customers? So when we ask this question and we come with a reply, we always find that this reply is not good enough. Unless we are selling super specific, super specific things that really can be represented by a persona, by an ideal customer profile. In general, I'm not telling you to not use personas or ideal customer profiles. What I want you to think of is, first of all, be sure that you're including a lot of things about behaviors that can highlight a need, okay? And not just characteristics or attributes that may correlate but have nothing to see with it. And sorry, Mesh, do you want to ask something?
No, I was just saying, like, it's interesting, Giacomo, because it's almost like focusing less on just their attributes and really trying to dig deeper into the why of what they're trying to solve, as opposed to who they are and what age.
Yeah. So we're trying to start with another question, which is exactly what Mesh told you right now, spoiler, which is why? Why do they buy? And targeting why do they buy, the behaviors, the context that push the need to emerge is a lot more important than asking ourselves who can buy my product. Why do really few people convert? Why do really few people in our target actually need our product? Because products match problems, not people. So despite us pushing hard towards people, they don't match people. And no matter how similar they are to other customers we have, etc., if they don't face the same problems, the same products will not be useful for them, and they will not need or ask for the same product at all, okay? So people are not personas. I'm not saying screw personas, or otherwise a lot of UX designers will kill me. I'm saying use persona wisely, because people are not personas at all. They are not represented by this fictitious persona that is built for another scope. Their purchases, their decisions in general, are caused by situational struggles and not by their attributes. It's really uncommon that they are pushed by their attributes. So the right question is, what causes people to buy? What is the context that causes people to buy? And why don't we target and research this instead of who they could look like? So I'll take advantage of this for introducing jobs to be done, as stated by his inventors, which is Professor Christensen. He says that job is the shorthand for what an individual really seeks to accomplish in a given context. And this context is more important than everything else, than their characteristics, than the product attributes, than new technologies or trends. So it's basically about, why don't we start targeting, researching, understanding, and targeting this context? Because targeting this context gives us a competitive advantage, because we know before the others do when the need will emerge, and what are the situations and common patterns, etc., that make this struggle emerge, or desire, could be whatever, okay? So I hope I will give you a little more clarity. Sorry. So I don't know if you understood really well this intro. I hope I was clear enough. It will be a lot clearer when we will talk about the next two things, which is, first of all, defining your competitors and market based on the jobs to be done of your customers, and also building your product around these jobs to be done. Let's start with competitors and market, which is very important, because if we see a market where others don't, we can also win it. If we see a competitors where others don't, we can also defend it, and more important, we can escape from the startup competition, which is usually done on the same old 3 or 4 feature set, and also prices. So What do we do usually if we didn't understand our market well enough? We do like them. We slash our price. So all the competition starts becoming on the same old 3 features and price. I don't want you to be like this because you're a lot smarter. So let's see a little bit how to take advantage of jobs to be done for redefining our market and competitors. It could sound strange that just redefining something could give us an advantage, but it does, because if you redefine something in a way that helps you see better and with a wider vision than everybody else, it's like having a better pair of glasses as I have right now. So you see something that you didn't see before, okay? Let's go. So how do we usually define our market and competitors? There are a million ways to define them. We could make a list together. If you have any idea, just write down in the chat, etc. A hint. People usually say, I am in the market of X. I am in the market of bottles. I am in the market of mobile phones, whatever helps them show, present a booming market. So just take a few pitch decks, and in all pitch decks, you will see a booming market, and this is how people usually introduce markets and present markets and define markets, more important. So how do you define your market and competitor? What is it based on? There are many things. If something comes to your mind, just write in chat. I will start. Product. So let's make an example. We are in the cars market. I produce cars. So I am in the cars market, or we are in the laptop market, whatever. So we think that our market is defined by the product we are selling. So we are competing based on the features of that product or the price of that product. What is the big problem with this kind of definition? That this market will exist even when your product or your category of product will not exist anymore. I will make you an example which will make it clear for everybody what I'm talking about. What killed the iPod? Was it another MP3 reader? I don't think so. I'm quite sure it was the iPhone before and Spotify after. So their biggest competitors were not other MP3 players. The iPod had the 70% market share of MP3 readers, but still it was killed. It was killed by another category of product. So this market still exists, but absolutely it was not the market for MP3. It was the market for listening to music. And people found a better way to listen to music, and this product made no sense. And despite this product doesn't exist anymore, and very few people still have an iPod, or nobody buys an iPod nowadays, it competed with other people. So defining the market just based on the product impedes you, avoids you, prevents you from seeing other important competitors that you're not noticing right now. But if you define your market based on something else, you see those competitors coming up that you can defend and you can attack whatever else. You can take advantage of what they discover. Another common is based on providers. For example, I don't say that I'm just in the restaurant market. I say that I am in the fast food market. So we all agree that all of the people, all of the companies being in the fast food market are competitors. Burger King and McDonald's are competitors. They are absolutely. But they are missing some other competitors. They compete also with other companies. I will make you an example. For the purpose and need of eating a meal very fast food comes from this. Diet shakes, Huel, and similar things are competitors of McDonald's and Burger King. Protein bars are competitors of McDonald's and Burger King. I'm quite sure that McDonald's doesn't think as Huel as one of their competitors. But the truth is that they are stealing sales to McDonald's and Burger King because they are serving the same purpose with another kind of solution. So providers, it's almost good because we are sure that all the people in the fast food market are competitors. But we are leaving out a huge categories of other competitors that people tend to choose over and compare against your solution right now, and you're not considering them at all. So we are not happy with this other definition either. Let's see another one, which is industry, super classic. So we are in this industry. I will make you an example, which sounds really strange to me. I hear many people saying we are in the software as a service industry. But the majority of software as a services don't compete with each other because they serve completely different needs, people, whatever else. So they don't compete with each other. So why do they say we are in the software as a service market? Does it make sense to say that software as a service is a booming market? It is not even a market. They are serving so many different things that, I mean, it's a way of distributing your product, your service, but it's not a market at all. I pasted there the icon of a spoon and a fork, because a classic example, coming back to food, a classic example of industries, we are in the restaurant market, restoration market. Okay, so everything connected with food, sitting down and eating some food. But does McDonald's compete with a Michelin-rated, Michelin-starred restaurant? I would say not at all. I don't know anybody who considers, will I be going to McDonald's today or a Michelin-starred restaurant? Nobody. They are not even alternatives. They live in two separate worlds. The only things that they have in common is that they both serve food, but they both serve food for very different purposes and reasons, okay? So let's try to find a better one, which is segment. This shouldn't fail. So segment is like luxury cars, for example. We are in the luxury car segment. Oh, coming back to the Michelin star example. We all agree, again, that all Michelin-starred restaurants in a certain area compete with each other. We are quite sure about this. So they serve the highest segment. So McDonald's is gone for now. We are talking about Michelin restaurant. We are talking about the same segment. Again, a Michelin restaurant, Michelin-starred restaurant, could compete with a place which is not even close in terms of quality of the food, but for example, has a beautiful view or has a beautiful location. So a Ferrari can compete with a boat, even if Ferrari is in the luxury industry, luxury cars industry. But a Ferrari can compete with a boat because you can be deciding if you want to buy the second Ferrari or you want to buy a boat. I hope some of you has this problem of deciding if they want to buy a Ferrari or a boat.
One day soon, we'll all have that problem.
Maybe some of you will. I hope for you that, I don't know if I hope, I actually hope for you that you will serve a great mission and a great purpose, and you will also happen making a lot of money as a good side effect. So this is my first hope for you. So still, we are not happy with the segment because it still excludes a lot of solutions that are not in the same category, but they do compete with each other, okay? So let's go on. Target demographics. I've heard a lot about the silver economy. I don't know if you have ever heard about the silver economy. In Europe, it is a fact because population is aging very fast. Unfortunately, in Italy, it is one of the places where it's aging faster. So I hear a lot of people saying we are in the silver economy market, which of course is booming because if they are presenting that they are in a market, it is booming by definition. Is it a market? I don't think so, because they happen to serve the same demographic target. But it contains many solutions that are not relating to each other at all, and they're not competitors. So companies who sell adaptable beds for the elderly and retirement houses or services for nurses at home are not competitors at all. They just serve the same, could serve the same people, not even, they could serve the same demographics, but they are not competitor at all. Silver people need the same things? I don't think so at all, Paul, because There are some people who get to the 90 and they are still able to walk and they need very few help at home. There are some people who at 80 need help at home. They don't work anymore. They are not autonomous anymore, etc., etc., etc. So it's just a demographics target. But I mean, they need different things based on their situations, the situations they face. So if I'm selling mattresses for the elderly, or if I am a software as a service for booking your nurse at home, I'm quite sure that these two categories are not competitors. And if they are not competitors, it means just one thing, that they don't belong to the same market. They belong to two different markets. That could be related in some way because they serve the same demographics, but they are not. Sure, Paul, they need transportation, food, etc., but what they need especially, it's really connected to some specific needs and not just a category. I also need transportation, food, etc., but nobody talks about the 30 years old economy. They talk about silver economy. We are not even considered a market. We are considered a demographics, because we are a demographics and they are too. So let's go on. Target profession. So, for example, CRM for freelancers. The bad thing is that CRM for freelancers could be the same as CRM for a business if they don't have specific needs that justify doing something for a target profession. So in some cases, it might make sense, but it makes sense only if there are some needs who are specific. So why don't we just define the market based on the need, and instead of the target profession, because it's the need who drives, not just who you are. I'm almost done, I promise. Geography, very famous. The European market is in recession. Of course, I mean, it's useful for macroeconomic reasons, for public measurements or something like this. But within Europe, there are a lot of companies that don't compete with each other. So if they don't compete with each other, they may be related in some ways because they belong to the same place, but they are not in the same market, because people in the same market are competitors by definition. And I also see various combinations of the above. So all of these have some problems that we have seen, have some limit, meaning that they either don't consider some competitors that are actually competitors, or they consider some other companies that are not your competitors. So how can we redefine our market in a way that really helps us and really is actionable and really includes the people that are our competitors? Let's take a look at a couple of examples, which are McDonald's milkshake and the South Newhampton University. Both of them are quite famous. I will start with the McDonald's example. You may have heard of it before. So what happened? McDonald's wanted to sell more milkshakes. And of course, for them, the main competitor were Burger King milkshakes and Dunkin' Donuts milkshakes, and they want to sell more milkshakes. So what they start to do? They start doing a focus group, when they pull many people to get many customers together in the same room, and they ask them, okay, how do you want our milkshakes to be done? And some of them start saying, we want with more flavors, more chocolate, something like this. So they start testing a few with this group of users. They launch these new flavors, and sales don't change. They don't change at all. So they hold some researchers who go in some McDonald's store in the morning when the majority of milkshakes is sold, and they start observing the people who takes these milkshakes. And they notice that the majority of milkshakes are taken by people dressed in a work suit. Okay, so they have to, I don't know if it's the right term in English, so they are dressed in a way that you understand they are going to work. They're going to their work, okay? Or they are ordering the milkshake from the drive-in. So they say, okay, it is probably something for people going to work and commuters. The day after, they start stopping some of these people and they start asking them, why are they taking a milkshake? And they start saying that they take a milkshake because they have to face a commute. And during the commute time, the milkshake takes them busy, because it takes time to consume a milkshake, while a donut just takes 3 bites and it's gone. And moreover, donuts leave your hands sticky. So if you're driving, it's not the best solution, while milkshake fit perfectly in the cup holder of your car. Bananas, it's a problem if you're driving. Bagels, same thing. They last too little, and they keep your hand glued because they are a little sticky. So what are the needs that this milkshake were covering? Its competitors were bananas and donuts, not just the Burger King milkshake. And boredom played a core role. So understanding this, understanding that you're not in the market of milkshakes, but you're in the market of commuters choosing a breakfast, opens a wider market and a lot of opportunities for developing your product, your messaging, etc., in a way that you can win a larger market. And we will see this in a few minutes. Another example is South New Hampshire University. The site New Hampshire University, you probably never heard of them because it's a very, very small university. So there is the New Hampshire University, they are the South New Hampshire University, very small university, okay? As all university did, they offered an online course. And this online course had the same percentage of students as all the others online courses by all the others university had. Until one day, they decided to start thinking, okay, nobody will want, so we will not grow our offline people in the campus because nobody will want to come to the South New Hampshire University. So why not trying to increase how many online students we have? So they start researching. And they find out that the majority of people trying to enroll in an online course and churning, so stopping using it, stopping following classes, etc., are not the users that they were targeting, which is basically people who got out of the high schools and don't want to move for the university. There were people that already were working, they were usually a little older, and they wanted to take a university course and to graduate because they wanted to upskill and get a new job. So most of them were blocked because enrolling was a huge waste of time and they couldn't enroll. And also it was really hard for them to follow the pace of the classes. So if it was self-paced, people stopped, people wasn't disciplined at all. So they stopped following the classes after a little bit. If it was at an imposed rhythm, they were not able to follow the classes. So what did they find out? That its number one competitor was not another online college, as they used to think. They used to think this way. But it was course abandonment or incomplete enrollment by workers willing to upgrade their job. Thinking in this term, again, open a wider market where you can find a lot of things everywhere in the messaging, in the advertising, in the how you structure your courses, etc., 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 that could help you win this bigger market. If you don't see that this is your main market, you will keep competing over that small percentage of people that after the high school prefer online university to offline university. Okay, so what do we want to do? We will get back to the SNHU and McDonald's example later so that I didn't want to spoil how the story ended. So we just wanted to see right now how redefining the market could be itself a competitive advantage or can unlock competitive advantage because you see wider than your competitors. So we want to define a market in a way that is solution independent because we have seen that some competitors cannot be in your same category of products. That is inclusive of all customers, that is unique, meaning unambiguous and stable over time, and it includes also all your competitors. And more than everything, it's actionable for strategy. So Starting point is that people buy and compare based on a job they need to get done. This means that solutions to the same jobs are competitor and they belong to the same market. So the only stable unit of analysis, as researchers would say, is the job to be done. Because this is the only thing that could evolve, but the solutions that you take for them, for solving this, could change, but the job stays the same. As a consequence, if the same job has to be done by different people, through different products, in different areas, in different demographics, etc., 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 but it is the same job, you're in the same market. So all the people serving, all the competitors serving the same jobs elsewhere with other products, etc., they are your competitor. And you have to understand that if you understand this before them, you can attack before them and get in a wider market. Otherwise, you will compete in the same 2 or 3 features as the South New Hampshire University was doing, and you will compete over price. You will end competing over price, and you don't want to compete over price. This is an activity I usually do when I have the time to do the full workshop, one of the many activities that I do. We will skip it, but I want you to write it down. So think of your product, think of what job and circumstances people use your product for, and who your jobs to be done competitors could be. So other alternative solutions they could use. This could help you start entering into this mindset, and you could probably figure out a few ways to get new customers just by thinking this. Because you could think, okay, this is a competitor. I didn't even think this is a competitor, but I can steal customers to this competitor. And in some cases, such as in the case of boredom with the McDonald's milkshake, you will not hurt anybody because, you will not steal from other actual competitors, but from alternative solutions. Okay, let's go into how jobs to be done affects building products. Again, how do we usually define the features we build? What do we base our decisions on? There are a few things. The main one is competitors. So all the competitors have this feature. I want this feature to be built too. This is super classic. So if they have it, I should have it too. Another one is trends and buzzwords. For example, everybody is putting crypto payments in their e-commerce. Why shouldn't I too? Because crypto is a trend. Crypto is growing. So if I will be the first one adding crypto payments, I will win a larger market. It could be, but it could be only if you're serving a need. Otherwise, it makes no sense following a trend or a buzzword. Strategy alignment. So for example, my company is strongly investing into mobile apps. So we need to do a mobile app. This is strategy alignment. But it could be that our customers will not ever use our mobile app because they have this need in another context where they use our service from another device. It could be. So it could make sense or not. Investor SIPO request, super classical. So this investor asked me to do so. This boss asked me to do so. Customers or sales request. So there is a big customer who says, okay, I will pay you 1 year of this if you 1 year of subscription if you build me this. And you start building this, and 80% of the time they disappear after you build. This happened to me. It will happen to you too. So make sure they pay in advance. Another thing that could happen is that you are serving only one customer actually. So this need is super specific. Nobody else will want this feature. So you're building a Frankenstein product with a feature that is built just for one, which means that you are selling at a software as a service price, an agency service, which usually costs a lot more. Okay, so pay attention. And the true unicorn, product discovery. Very few people do product discovery. I hope you are in the one in this category. Okay. So let's get back to our McDonald's and South New Hampshire University. Then I will tell you about another one. So McDonald's. Once they realized that they were in the market for fighting boredom, and their market was commuters fighting boredom in the morning, and of course willing to have breakfast too. They started thinking, okay, how can I make my product so that it's even better, it's even a better fit for the job, the main job that I identified. Do you have any idea? Feel free to unmute or write down or whatever. What would have you done?
If I was running, so that crazy straw, that's the, like, if I saw a crazy straw, man, I would not drink that. It's complicated already. They're trying to
break
give
the
us
ice
paper
with a
straws.
not great suggestion.
Crazy straw? Why did you think that?
You know, it's extra exciting. Fighting boredom, you need a more exciting straw.
I like it. I like it. This could be one. Email McDonald's and make sure they pay you for the idea.
After they execute it, I think one thing could be maybe having some new flavors. I have a McDonald's right here, and they do it all the time. They have random flavors that I've never heard of before. Blueberry shake. Oh, that's pretty common. But like random shakes where they put Kit Kat and Mars, you know, maybe something like that. Make the audience even more obese.
Why this? Because it makes it funnier?
I think Giacomo, it makes it kind of associates it with a product that they might already like. I love Kit Kat. If I see that they're putting it in a milkshake, I am actually more likely to buy that Kit Kat. But yeah,
they did something similar, but for fun trivia and the cup. I like it, Mark. The majority of them is driving. So it's a little dangerous, but it's a cool idea. So this is what I don't know if you have any other guesses. This is fun, so I want you to. You love danger. Great. So, okay, spoiling. This is what they did. So, thicker milkshake that lasts longer. Have you noticed how thick the milkshake, the McDonald's milkshake is? You really need to a lot of time to it's small, it's really small, but you need a lot of time to finish it because it's really thick, and in the straw it takes a lot of time. So it's cool because it lasts you longer. So if you have a long commute, it takes you busy for the whole commute. You don't feel, oh, it's already finished. You feel like, okay, this is working well for my need. And they started something similar to the Crazy Straw and Kit Kat pieces idea that you talked about. They started adding tiny chunks of fruit or chocolate to make it fun because it added unpredictability. So, and this worked really well. Everything they tested with the focus group didn't work. This worked really well. Southern New Hampshire University, your turn again. So you know that their main market and area of potential improvement was not competing for students coming out of high school and wanting to get into online colleges, but it was another kind of people and another kind of purpose. People willing to upgrade their job and thinking that graduating could help them upgrade this job. So what would have you done if you were SNHU, knowing that they had a big abandonment rate because people couldn't get along with the lessons, etc., and a low enrollment rate because many people weren't able to enroll because they needed to produce a lot of documents to enroll. What did they do, and what would have you done? This is harder than McDonald's milkshakes. Any idea? Or I will start with the spoiler.
Night classes, or things that are not time dependent. So if I have a job,
Could be all the classes were recorded already.
Oh, okay.
So they could attend live or recorded. I will go. So it was really important to sign up, an easy sign up. So they reworked the whole enrollment process, asking them less documents, making it a lot easier for them to enroll. And also they had a tutoring service to reduce the abandonment. So every student started to be assigned a tutor, and this tutor was following you. If you weren't able to follow lessons or to produce assignments in time for three or 2 weeks in a row, they started messaging you, asking you, how are you? Trying to understand what was going on in your life, if they could help in some way. if you could reframe the rhythm, etc., etc. The result, and also they started doing a lot of advertising talking to this specific need. As a result, a lot of people who wanted to upgrade their career were able to graduate and were able to upgrade their career path. And they were so happy that SNHU became the #1 choice for this kind of people. And being online, no matter if you are in South New Hampshire or wherever else, everybody could follow their classes. Just to give you an idea, in 8 years, they passed from 500 online students to 130,000. And they passed from a total revenue of the university of $100 million to $1.2 billion, okay? More than 10%. And this was all related to the online courses. So they became an incredible online university. It's not famous, but if you were trying to upgrade your career in the US by graduating online in a new online university, you would probably know them because they are like the #1 most known. A last example is Instagram, WhatsApp, 500 pixel. There is one moment in which all of them started asking this question: should we add filters? So Instagram had filters. So WhatsApp wanted to add filters too. Really few people use WhatsApp filters because they are thought for two different things. So in Instagram, you share something that stays there in some way and that many people see. On WhatsApp, you send a message to you send a picture of the beach to your grandma. So it's not the same thing at all. And 500 pixel, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a professional service for photographers, so they don't need filters at all. So there was a time in which everybody was asking, should we add filters? And some of them did. But the truth is that you should do something, not just because competitors do it, but if you are observing that there is a need that you can serve and your users are having this need. So it didn't make sense at all. So I hope I was able, with these 3 examples, especially the first 2, to give you a taste of what jobs to be done mean when talking about product, building a product, and also advertising, understanding who your target really is, which means why do they really pay, what needs you're really targeting, etc., etc., etc. And I hope it was actionable for you too. I want to give you a last example, which I found really cool because it's counterintuitive and it's quite famous too. It's about some condos, some flats in Boston. So be ready to build counterintuitive solutions that go against what your customers say. I will make you this example. So the Boston condos, there was a new building, a new condo building in Boston with a lot of flats, really big. The flats weren't ready yet, but the builder, who was really smart, I think, arranged at the first floor 2 demo units to show potential customer and prospective customers and leads how the apartments would be once the building was finished. So they observed that the majority of people who were interested into this new Boston condo, these new flats, were couples who were getting older. Their kids were not kids anymore. They were adults and they left home. So they were alone in a very big home. And they wanted to downsize, basically. So this may be familiar to some of you. So you're a couple, your kids are not at home anymore. They have their own lives. So you don't need that big house. It starts becoming hard to maintain. And also you're getting old. So you want something smaller, something more comfortable, etc., etc. So all of them, all the prospective customers asked for a smaller dining room and a larger guest room, because they started saying, okay, I want a large guest room. So if my kids want to come visit me during Thanksgiving or whatever, they can stay at my home. but I don't want a large dining room anymore, because all the main holidays, so the Christmas dinner will not be hosted at our home anymore. It will be hosted where my kids live right now. So we are done with hosting this much. So we don't need a large dining room. We need a large guest room for people who will come visit us. So they did the first demo units this way, as they wanted, but when getting to actually moving out from the old house to the new house and actually signing the contract, etc., they didn't sign the contract. So some researcher came in and tasked with a really hard task, which is we built exactly what they wanted us to build, but they are not buying. Why? So this researcher came in and started talking with these people, and what everything told them is that once coming to organize moving, they couldn't let go of their dining room table, because this is the place where all the memories of the family were built. And they couldn't just let go of it or put it in the trash bin or whatever. But it didn't fit in the smaller dining room, in the new home, in the new potential home. And also it was really hard for them to manage moving all the other stuff in the downsizing, because if you're moving from a very big house to a very small house, it means that you have to trash a lot of things. But if this lot of things is all the memories that you've built in your house with your kids and your family over years and years, you cannot just trash them. So they were not ready for doing so. And so what did they do? Again, in terms of product, what would have you done to help them figure out this problem and actually move to these new apartments? Any idea?
Guess you need a bigger dining room.
Yeah, it could be one. A bigger dining room is part of this. So they did two things. First of all, they offered a slightly larger dining room than what requested, so that their table could fit. And they included 3 years of a storage unit located nearby the condos. 3 years were included in the offer for buying a flat. Pay attention, they increased their prices. So for including these 3 years of storage unit, etc., they had to increase their price. And despite increasing their price and doing exactly the opposite of what they were asked to do, sales soared, and they were able to sell all of the apartments after showing these people this new possible solution. So that's really smart, and this makes us think of an important thing. So instead of adding features, as people ask us to do, and instead of adding features to attract more people, this is something we do a lot. We tend to do, I've done it a lot. So let's build this because this will be nice for them. Let's build this other thing because this will be nice for them. So we end up being a Frankenstein of many things and none of them is really great. So don't add features to make people happy if you're not sure what need you're trying to solve. Try to understand what is blocking them in the stage of the decision process they are. In this case, they were blocked because they couldn't figure out how to move. And this solution made it possible for them to unblock and move from the bigger house to the smaller house as they desired, but they couldn't before this solution was invented for them. So if you are able to do something that really unblocks, so I have a news for you. let's put it this way. The majority of your potential customers are blocked in the purchase process. So they are not using anything. They are not satisfied of anything because they have not found the right fit for them. Build the right fit for them and you will win them. This Boston Condos example is a very good example to put you in this mindset. Where are they blocked? unblock them and you will win them. And you will win them, you can increase prices instead of decreasing them or offering discounts for people to get your product. And you will escape competitions because your competitors think that they are competing over awareness or they are competing over features, but they don't know that a big part of potential customers are just blocked. So they are aware of their problems, but they don't find in the classical feature set of the solutions, they don't find their place. And this is probably the reason why a lot of new products and startups come out every day, every year, every month, because there's really a huge place for improvement. So I'm happy you're here today, and I'm happy of seeing you, because you're the kind of people that will do this. And so I hope I'm quite sure that you will nail it. It will be your first product or your third or whatever it is, but you will be able to create a good product that solves an important problem, often by just unblocking people that couldn't find a fit anywhere else. Okay, so again, building a small repetition and recap. So building great features means relating to a job, being open also for counterintuitive solution, because people hire, that means use, or fire, that means stop using. Product and service for a job they need to get done. So building features means serving the job better than competitors and extending to adjacent jobs, not trying to get more users by doing a little of everything, because you're better off with a kick-ass half than a half-assed whole, okay? So if you think that by doing, you can offer, I'm from Florence, so in Florence, the typical food is steak. We have a very particular kind of steak that we all only do here. Just by offering a steak, you can offer a lunch to one of your friends, but because it's a main course. But if you think that you can offer 3 side dishes and this will make a lunch, this will not make a lunch. You can offer a great lunch just with the main course without the side dishes. Some of side dishes, not a lunch. So think very well what is the main course for you and what is side dishes. And never ever end up offering your users a lunch made of side dishes, because this is not a lunch. The perfect lunch is main course and side dishes and water and wine and whatever else. But if you have to start from somewhere, just offer the main course, because with a main course, you do a lunch, a great lunch, a Sunday lunch. Tapas can be a lunch if they are great tapas. So if it's a tapas lunch, it could be, but not side dishes. And by the way, you can offer if you're in Florence, you can offer and eat a very great lunch just with a steak, but not with 5 different kinds of salads, because we are not famous for salads, I'm sorry. Okay, so what's your main course? Think of it. This is another exercise I do. Again, what job do clients use it for? In which circumstances? I repeat this question because this is very important. Which product initiatives I strike through the feature word, because it could be something that it's not a feature. It could be something that it's an initiative in some other area. Could make this job easier or faster to be done, or emotionally more engaging, or socially more acceptable, visible, etc., etc. There are a million things you can do to do so, or to unblock people. A million things in marketing, in advertising, in sales, in customer support, in product itself. The majority of them are in product itself. So let's go. Okay, so as promised, this was intended to be a one-on-one on jobs to be done, but if I was able, and I hope so, to deliver you how fascinating it could be to have this wider view and this new pair of glasses on. This new is actually super. This one is actually super bad, but I hope yours will be better. There is an open question, which is this one. Where the heck do I get the info that helps me understand what my job and market are and what my product should do? So very cool, Giacomo. I know I understood that we should follow the jobs to be done, that targeting could be done better, then product could be done better, that I can analyze better my market, so to come with meaningful initiatives that I could do for better serving my customers, but how do I get the insights? And this is how you do. So the first part is collecting a story. So in order to, here there are many points, I'm jumping here right away because this is more important. So in order to think as your customer, you have to think as your customer. So how do customers think? How do people decide and buy something? We are people, so we are talking about ourselves. And it usually works like this. There's a first thought, meaning there is a moment in which you start thinking, maybe I have this problem, or can I do this better than how I'm doing right now? Can I have a better chair than this one that I have right now? Maybe I can. So this first thought is the moment in which this question opens the space in your mind for potential solution. And you start being in the so-called passive looking phase. Passive looking phase is when you start noticing ads, reviews, etc., that you didn't notice before. Why didn't you notice them before? Because there were no open space in your mind. There were no questions. If there is no question, there is no space for answers. So if in your mind there isn't an open question, you will not notice probably. I mean, you have heard millions of times that we are exposed to something like 4,000 ads and products messaging every day. How do you hope to get the attention of these people if they don't have this question in their mind? You will not. So as you might see this talks about ourselves. This is not just a mental model for someone else. We are not studying guinea pigs or monkeys. We are studying humans, and we are humans. You will see that once you start asking yourself, I heard my echo. Once you start wondering, okay, can I do this better? Then you start noticing a lot of things that you didn't, magically. So they existed before. The previous day, in all the previous days, this ad, this LinkedIn post, whatever, already was there, but you didn't notice that. Now you start noticing them. Then usually something happens that increases the urgency of solving the problem. And then you start actively looking for solution and understanding the trade-offs among them. So it's not just about, okay, I'm being flooded by ads or something like this. I'm curious, but let's see. Something starts happening and you start to really compare solution and form in your mind trade-offs about how well they could fit your context. Your context, again, your context is what matters when you're forming trade-offs. Then something else happened that makes it even more necessary to decide. And based on the trade-offs and the information you have collected, you decide. This process could last 1 day, 1 hour, or months. And many people could get blocked in this context, in this process again. Unblocking them is a huge value creator because nobody thinks this way. I don't know why, but we are really stupid when coming to selling. Nobody likes to be sold in a way that everybody sells. So I have written emails that I will never have liked receiving. And you probably have had this mistake, have made this mistake too. Because I don't know why, but when we are in the selling mode, we disconnect from who we are and we start being someone else. And being someone else just doesn't work because we are not embedding our own purchase experience, decision experience, anxieties, etc., in the process we are designing. I will make an example to make it clearer after buying, you usually evaluate the product based on the trade-offs you formed before. So I will make an example, which is real. So after the pandemics and going full-time remote, I never took care of my workspace, etc. I just worked from my computer with I have one of these laptop lifters that I don't know the name. One of these things that keeps your laptop not, you don't have to, I don't have the word, please Mash, help me.
So that it doesn't slant or so that it doesn't run out of battery? Which one?
It's for you to not spoil your back.
Like a laptop stand, perhaps?
Oh.
Lift it up.
Man, it was so easy. Okay, a laptop stand.
I have
Thank
one.
you. So the only thing I had was a laptop stand. After some time, my neck started hurting. So this is when the first thought came to my mind. One day, I remember where I was that day. I started thinking, okay, I need something different. I need another solution. And then I started noticing a lot of stuff. I started noticing ads for better chairs, for a lot of things. I mean, LinkedIn posts talking about people talking about their work from home setting, workspace and workstations, etc., all things that I didn't care at all before. They were there, but I didn't notice them. I didn't care at all. After noticing that my neck, that I had that neck pain, I started noticing them. Then I just started noticing them and not doing anything with this. Then something happened that one day, I had to stay the whole afternoon in my bed because my neck was so bad that I had vertigo. I don't know if it's called vertigo in English or something like this. So you basically, everything turns around. You are not able to...
Vertigo, yeah.
Vertigo, okay. It's the right word, wrong accent, vertigo. Thank you very much. So I had to stay the whole afternoon in my bed. So this is when I started looking for a solution, really looking for a solution. And I've seen many different solutions that don't perceive as competitors from each other. So from desks to standing desks to treadmills for walking, so that I didn't have to stay to sit down all day, but I could stand in a few hours. I made some considerations and I decided for a treadmill. Could think this specific treadmill, which is a walking pad, was intended for young Chinese girls wanting to be fitter. So all the instructions were in Chinese and all the images were about this. But I used this for a very different thing and it's a perfect fit. I decided to buy it when the Black Friday sales hit and it was a very good deal. And I say, okay, this is the right day to buy it. But this is how I actually bought it. They probably think that it's just about the Black Friday deal, but the truth is that there was a lot of other things. And in this story, there are a lot of opportunities that this brand could have taken advantage from to sell me and other tons of people that are just blocked in this process because they weren't lucky as I was in getting some information, because the majority of the information I got were from a LinkedIn post by one colleague that I know. So many people are blocked. And many treadmills and walking pads are not being sold to remote workers because they are not aware that this could be their market, just because of this. So this is how we decide, usually. In big part, we go through this process without knowing. So now that you know, you will probably be able to rethink of some of your recent purchases in this way, because this is something that happened in some ways. But we are not aware of this. Collecting this story, which means being able to reconstruct this story under the point of view of a customer, helps us really getting in the perspective of this customer and really understanding the context where we can do something. This is super actionable, because if you want to be in your customer's perspective, get in your customer's perspective. So ask them about their story. Sorry, Anthony, didn't want you to make you aware of your sitting posture. It would be a nightmare, so sorry. So how do we collect a story? First of all, we need a starting point. These stories are a thread. They are not clear. So you will not go to somebody and ask them, tell me the story of how you bought this bottle. And they will tell you everything in an ordered way, from the first thought to the decision and everything else. They are not that aware. It's a thread. You have to untangle the thread. So there are 4 powerful ways to start from. And these are also 4 powerful ways to recruit users to be interviewed. Okay? don't just select a target and start from who should I interview, or we get back to the first step. So there are 4 powerful things that you can take advantage of. Let's take a look. First of all, hiring and firing, which means when people buy or start using and fire, which means stop using a product that you think could be a competitor of your product in the jobs to be done competitors, meaning that we have explored before. So let's make an example. I am running, I want to create an app solving this specific problem. I see that somebody has left a bad review to an app aiming to solve the same problem. This is probably a person worth collecting the story. Because hiring or choosing a new solution or stopping using a solution are 2 powerful signals that this person really have really have this need. And it's super cool to understand their story. Another important one, so these are the most common. So, the easier one, who should I recruit? Recruit somebody who started using a solution that you think could be your competitor, or recruit something and talk with something and collect the story of somebody who stopped using a product that you think could be your competitor. This is a super powerful story to be collected, and you will get tons of insight from it. Another interesting thing to do is using workarounds. So workarounds are another super cool indicator of a context driving a need. What do I mean by workaround? I mean assembling solutions to make them work for their need. So when people create strange calculator worksheets on Google Sheets, and they manually integrate them with the other services through Zapier or something like this, they are basically doing with sellotape and a few bricks and something like this, a product. So they are doing a product. If you find a workaround, this means that there is probably a need, and these people are worth interviewing. Absolutely. An example I made for a startup that is attending an accelerator I'm mentoring. They are trying to process crypto payments for e-commerces. I told them, okay, people who, for example, connected their wallet deposits, so the wallet tracker, VAPI, to their account system, are probably people that are doing a workaround that you could solve with a better product. Okay, and it's worth collecting the story. Another thing is surprising users, meaning people who use, cool, glad about it, Mark. People who are using one product in a way that it's not supposed to be used. I'm using these strange emojis because the one famous example is nihil. I don't know how it's pronounced then well in English. Is this one? Correct me if it's pronounced in another way. So it's a medication for temperature. So you get fever, you get a tab of this, and you get better. It has a side effect, which is that it makes you super sleepy. So a lot of people with sleep issues started using this medicine for temperature and fever to get a sleep easier. And the pharmaceutical company that produces nihil was able to see that this surprising usage was a trend. Many people were using their medicine for getting asleep, and they produced this one that became more famous than the previous one, Zikil, which is they took the same medicine, they took out the active principles for stopping fever, and they increased the quantity of the active principle inducing sleep. So this is the classic kind of surprising use. If you're seeing some users, some people using some products in a strange way that it's not the main thing this product is used for, talk with them and try to understand. Another example I often do is many people, for example, here in Italy, many women especially, use salt to perform skin cleansing. So they clean their skin with salt. but salt is made for cooking, not I mean, it's sold for cooking. So there are some products that added salt to their formula. There are some products for skincare, okay? So think of surprising usage as a way to find people worth interviewing. Last but not least, and the most harder, and the hardest one, and the most powerful is non-consumption. For example, we have seen an example, South New Hampton University. The majority of people were blocked, so they were not buying or consuming anything. And if you are able to see a lot of people who, in this past year, blocked somewhere, interview them. Because unblocking them, again, would be super powerful. And there is only one way to unblock them. Understand their context and their needs, and how you can address this context and be a perfect fit, okay? So once you have decided where to start from, so you say, for example, okay, let's interview 5 people that stopped using this competitor app and left bad reviews. This is something that I usually do too. It's time to decide how to run a jobs to be done interview. So how to collect their story so that to uncover casualties. So you need to prepare a minimum viable script, I call this way, because you want to understand the domino effect. What happens is that from the first thought to the evaluation and buying and everything else, you will notice a domino effect. So there is something that causes something else, that causes something else, etc., etc., etc. You want to get out of interview where you have super clear in your mind what is the domino effect. Until you don't have it clear, you cannot stand up. It's not important that the people you interview has it clear, because you are a researcher, they are not. You are the doctor, you are the one making the diagnosis, they are not. But in your mind, the domino effect should be super clear. This happened, that caused this, etc., etc., etc. Very important. You have to collect a story, not validate your assumption. For validating, there are other tools, not this kind of interview, and in my opinion, not interviews at all, but it's another story. Right now, don't focus on the assumptions you have and how to evaluate or validate these assumptions. You have to just collect this story. You will do the analysis later. I tell you this because I've done many times the mistake of going in the interview with some questions that in some form even indirectly biased them, or that were super connected to the kind of things I wanted to analyze. But this didn't let them free of really just exposing their story. You don't want to ask them nothing in particular. You just want them to go with the flow, express the story in a way that you are able to understand the domino effect. Okay? So let's see the minimum viable script in action. First of all, an intro, just to make them comfortable. So, hi, Anthony. We're trying to understand the language people use when talking about, I don't know, this specific kind of product, this specific kind. So for example, I've done it and it was super fun about what people eat for breakfast. And we found a lot of super interesting things that some cereal for breakfast company could take advantage to. So we start by introducing them what we are trying to do. The very important thing is that they don't think or feel that you have a product or a product idea. You don't have to expose your idea anytime in this conversation. You want to collect their story. This is what you're there for. And you want to start from their decision, which could be a hiring or firing decision, for example. It's very important that they understand that you are trying to shoot a documentary. I often talk about, so when I interview people, I tell them, have you ever seen How I Met Your Mother? If you have, you should know how their stories work usually. So they start for a useless detail, and from this detail, all the story starts developing. It works like this. So I want to imagine you're shooting a documentary or an episode of How I Met Your Mother. You really want to get how all the details influence each other, as in these stories do. Then I usually establish familiarity by asking a few things about them, their family, etc., all information that you can recall later during the interview. And I usually collect then the biggest part is collecting the story through time traveling. It's really a minimum script, minimum viable script, I call it. So you have to collect the story and understand the dominant effect. It's very important to look for details. How to collect the story? There are two ways, very simple. You are time traveling. So start from the beginning or start from the end. You can start from the end and say, okay, tell me about the day when you decided to uninstall this app. What happened before? And before, and before, and before, and before, and before, and before, etc. Or, okay, tell me about the day that you first thought, okay, I need some solution for not staying, for not working, seated down all day long. So starting from the beginning and let the story developing. Of course, see how they react and adapt, because they might not remember it. Also, it happens a lot. And a key to help them remember, which is also super backed by research, if you are able to get into some details will help them remember. So ask them where they were, who they were with, what they were dressing, how was the weather like, what day was it. They will not recall immediately, but they will over the course of the interview. So some do's and don'ts. First of all, look for causality, sorry, not causality. So you have to understand, again, the dominant effect. Don't assume anything. Don't go in the interview with the thing that you have to prove or disprove something. The reason why you are interviewing is that you want to be in your customer mind, to get their perspective and embed this perspective in your offering. You're not testing anything, you're not validating anything, you're not selling anything. You want to capture information to embed. You want to take something, not give something in this moment, okay? Don't assume anything. You don't know, be ready to be amazed at what you will discover. This is the right, so whenever you listen to them, be ready to be amazed, okay? Third, very important, never ever accept surface responses. They will always tell you something very vague, not so clear. Go in depth, especially where you find inconsistencies or unclarity. So try to unpack things and get to the root of why they did this thing. Get to the dominant effect. A useful tool, always imagine you are shooting a documentary. Can you picture the scene? If you can't, you're missing some detail. So if you can't picture where they were, how was the room, etc., you have to picture the image in your mind. Otherwise, you're losing something. You're halfway through a detective and a therapist. So you have to connect the dots yourself. They don't know how to connect the dots. It's your job to connect the dots. Last but not least, very important, write the minimum viable script. Learn it very well. Learn it very, very well. Practice it before the interview, but don't just stick with it. Don't just follow it. The conversation should sound and should be like a natural conversation. Otherwise, you will not be able to collect the story. Okay? So, one important thing, probably the most important thing I thought you about here is the number 3. Don't accept surface responses. So, there are a lot of times, there will be a lot of times during the interviews in which you will feel that you are stuck into vagueness or something that it's not that useful. Details help you escape dead ends and get the dominant effect. So ask details. Again, I told you about this one before. Picture the movie in your mind. If you are not able to picture it, you're losing something. Then put in front of contrast. So when people talk to you about different situation and solution, ask why this one over this one? What's the difference? Why have you done this? If you were in another situation, would you have still done this? This would help you really understand the context, because this context is what you want to embed in your product offering, in your messaging, advertising, and again, I will never get bored of repeating it. You probably will. Play dumb to unpack big words. So if necessary, you know what's the difference between A and B. You know it. but play dumb, because you want to understand what they mean with this difference. And especially when they use big words. So it's very easy to accept surface responses, surface replies, when they start saying, okay, I prefer this one because it was faster. What does faster mean? This is really a dumb question, but it's dumber not to ask it, because understanding what is their definition of fast and why they need something faster and what is faster and what is not, this will help you understand how this dimension really is, how important it is, and why, more importantly. So when they talk about more professional, more convenient, healthier, nicer, it's faster, etc., don't just accept this. Go into understanding why they mean, what do they mean with this, okay? Re-ask when you feel energy. Oh, can't believe this, really? And last but not least, play bad cop as a last resort and extreme contrast creator. For example, if the people you interview previously told you that they cannot use a smartphone and it was their wife who set up the smartphone and do everything, and one day this person says you that he created an account for food delivery in a few minutes, it's more than allowed to say, oh, come on, you can't use a smartphone, you need your wife for doing everything, and you created an account for food delivery. Why didn't you just call? This is an extreme resource, but it helps you uncover inconsistencies and really find the reason why. Otherwise, you will get in the surface, and the surface, everybody's in the surface. You will not get any advantage by being in the surface too, because the blue ocean is in the depth, is not in the surface. So escaping competition means going below in the deep water, not in the surface. So if you want to not get stuck in the, from therapist to bad cop, yeah, it escalated bad and fast. So if you want to not just get into the surface where everybody else is, take into account that every time you find inconsistencies, etc., you really have to understand why that time was different. Because the truth is that the majority of people will just tell you excuses, will tell you lies. They don't know that they are lying to you or they are creating excuses, but they will. I was, in the last workshop I did about jobs to be done, I was interviewed by one of the participants because they were not even, so I had to participate too. And I discovered after the interview was ended that I lied to him a lot of times, not on purpose, because I was not aware of some of my choices, simply. And the conversation with this person made me aware of the real reason. So this is what you want to do. I hope that I was able to give you not only just the taste of how important it is to have this wider view, but also a small tool. Of course, as mentioned, this is the one part of a 8 hours long workshop. So I tried to do my best. Want to talk more about this? Feel free to email me, Giacomo at SparringStartups.com, book a SparrowStartup.com advisor, similar brand, not the same one. One is Mesh brand that I'm honored to be a mentor for, and one is my personal initiative. And I will be glad to join your Slack and for whatever thing you just ask me. I will be in vacation the next 2 weeks, so don't expect that I will be replying fast, but feel free to ask me. Okay, for any question right now, I'm here.
Giacomo, thank you so much. Mash, you got some crazy static sounds.
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing I really admired about can you guys hear me properly, or are my headphones?
You got some weird static going on.
Okay. Yeah, jump to be done.
I cannot hear you properly. You're muted now.
It's good we save the technical difficulties for the end. You know, that's really the best place for them.
Yeah, that's good. Mash, I don't know if you were popping this plastic card for packaging, the plastic card with popping balls. The sound was something like this. You were popping the balls in the plastic packaging.
Yeah. Someone else told me the same thing. Wow, these AirPods. Anyway, no, what I was going to say is, yes, we have a crazy stack at Sparrow, but one thing I really like about Giacomo is, Giacomo, right? Sorry.
Yeah, hard to pronounce it.
Yeah, is that, one thing I learned today is basically just thinking of a target customer or a field of people who are doing the same thing or have a kind of profession or living the same kind of life. It's really about digging deeper underneath the surface and understanding why exactly they decided to use a specific product, what was happening in their exact life at that time. Were they being pressured their bosses, or did they find a reason to use a product? Like what exactly is the underlying reason that they decided to either switch, hire, or fire like a product, right? So I found that really, really interesting. And I've included Giacomo's email as well if you guys want to chat. Always fun to run ideas by him whenever. And I think we're going to have him on the Slack channel as well later on, right, Anthony?
Yep. Yeah, I'll send you a Slack invite right after this.
Cool. I deserved it, did I?
Yes, you earned it.
Oh, I love it. This was all about it. So I was promised that I could be good enough. Glad about it.
Awesome. Well, we're right at time, so if you guys come up with questions later, definitely hit up Giacomo, try to book them through Sparrow or directly through SparringStartups. Hit them up in the Slack. If you're not already in the Slack, I'll send you an invite right after this as well. And our next event is next week. Giacomo, you're welcome to join us. It's a general meetup with everyone in the community. There'll be a lot of like one-on-one pairing off and fun things like that. So that's it.
Cool, guys. Thank you very much. Hope it was helpful. And if it was not, you're allowed to stalk me until it's helpful.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for coming.
Bye, everybody.
It was, by the way, mesmerizingly helpful, Giacomo. I've actually had 4 things that I will implement. I have to find clients for my copywriting service. But thank you a lot.
You're welcome.
And see you next time.
See you soon.
See you guys.
Thank you, Anthony, for hosting, and Mash for inviting me too. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Never heard of that one before.
Yeah, I'm the master of these kind of jokes.
Fun master. Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.